Welcome back to The Rising of the Shield Hero Anime Review, episode number 17. This one I'm reviewing the 37th episode of the series, and it's also the penultimate episode of Season 2. Now, the weird thing is, despite the fact there is an episode set to come out next week, there's no title for it, surprisingly. And the way this episode feels like, it feels like a it feels like a finale. That's what it feels like, anyways. The way the episode presented. So, we begin with left off last week with Nafumi's team. This is just after Glass and her group got transported. By the way, they're barely in the episode. They get transported. They get to fight some monsters. Glass gets a chance to hold Kita in sort of a very Yuri moment, basically, because it's mentioned in the book that Nafumi has this theory that Glass is a lesbian, and that Kusha is her girlfriend, and these two are probably sleeping together. Not really proven, per se, and so they end up basically getting arrived in the boat Hero to Kaio's lab, and they get there, of course, they're with Kaio's childhood friend, who's now their ally. So she admits it's kind of basically his fault, so they go to his lab, and while Glass and her group find out the monsters, of course they need to take on the caster, which Nafumi's going to take care of, no problem. They go inside, and they come across three people who are also half chimeras. Yes, this is something Kaio did. And they're probably thinking, human mixed with an animal, form a chimera. Does it sound very familiar to you? Yes, because it sounds exactly like what happened in Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Yes, the same exact thing. And like that one, the guy is a jerk. And he's evil. But that guy got arrested and later killed by some other guy. And he ends up, like, after they briefly fight, of course, taken on by Raphtalia, who ends up basically knocking out their weapons, and of course they're triggered to explode. So now Fumi sets like 5 or 6 shields, like second shield, meteor shield prison. He feels like every single shield he basically has to defend this whole group from the explosion. And then of course Kaio's like, oh, you took part of my lab. Here's your next target. A homunculus, which is basically the mirror, the mirror vessel hero. Yep, and it turns out this actually, this technically is this is not their master. These 3 ladies, yeah, it's not him. It's basically transformed into a homunculus. And you're thinking, wow, another Fullmetal Alchemist reference, a homunculus, an artificial body, which of course this was brought up also in Death Mark Trailer Rhapsody. Yeah, homunculus is basically what it is. The way to explain it to me, it's an artificial body, which kind of say it's a clone of something else, or at least just artificially made clone. Just another word for clone, but mostly. So Raphtalia, the Kaio's friend, I can't remember her name, and Philo take down this guy, while Risha and Nafumi go after Kaio. And they basically just go to their room, and wow, there he is. And right above his head is apparently the turtle, the turtle, the gray tortoise's power. So trying to fight him, Nafumi once again goes to the Wraith shield, something he has not done in quite a while. Not since like the early episodes of the season, he actually uses the Wraith shield. At one point, it looked like it was consumed by flames by the actual shield itself, and then Oshi shows up. You're thinking, wait, isn't she dead? Yes, she is. This is basically kind of her spirit reminding him. And then, of course, he uses the Great Tourist power, and also combined with the mirror vessel's power, and fires right on Kaio, who uses the book to form his own weapon, and then eventually he is killed. Yeah, in a pretty interesting battle sequence, which I gotta praise the anime for. It's really good. And then, like, him defeated, like, okay, figured, okay, right at the next wave until, like, they go home. Like, the next, of course, basically wait a month. And, like, oh, let's go a banquet, go fishing, and then, apparently, because their mission was completed, they get transported right back to their previous world. and they only had like a minute. Kusha, the hunting hero, thanks them for what they did. And, in case you're curious though, not the last we'll see of them. Now, in the case of Hunting Hero, I don't remember if she appears later on. Glass does. Yes, she does. But in the case of her best friend, per se, also her girlfriend, not really known per se if she does. It's, like, I've been reading the light novels. I read the Volume 22, which is the most recent book release, both in Japan and here. Yeah, and for some reason, now Glass does still continually appear. Now, there still have only been 22 volumes released this series. Now, in the case of this episode, what chapters do I think this episode covered? From book 9, mind you? Yes. I would sense the fact that they kind of rushed through the first, like, seems like almost like bits and pieces of the first, like, 7 chapters mostly from book 9. I'd probably say that the episodes themselves, this episode probably covered chapters like 9 through 12. Yeah, they kind of rushed book 9. Yes, because I would say definitely the first half they did pretty okay, and they're kind of rushing these books. Yes, they kind of are. Mm-hmm. So they get back to their home country, which of course the queen is basically offering him his position of Viscount of Armel, the great spirit tortoise, and the other heroes fought the waves and retribution for not fighting the tortoise, which, yeah, that's their loss. Oh, I should also point out, though, this is the first time the three have been seen since, like, the start of the season. Yeah, they've been absent for all this period of time. And you're probably thinking, what in the world were these three up to aside from the wave? Not known. It just basically they're there. The boat heroes just looks at Risha. She kind of blinks at him, like gives a wink. And then he made Viscount. And then, of course, he goes back home. And then we see a sneak preview of about 3 new characters, at least about 3 new characters per se, that pop up in this very episode per se. Yes, well, there is the character Albert, who was the vessel, the Mirror Vessel's hero. But there is 3 definite ones. There is Shidia, Shenda. Yes. Very beautiful woman. And this episode is her anime debut. It shows her fighting, which is, of course, really good. Shows up her skills. Then we have, in a cage, yes, a cage, teasing possibly might see something for season 3 for this character. We have the character Fuha Furan and his sister, Alita. Yes. Who appearance-wise kind of looks like Ravtalia with white hair. Yeah, that's pretty much in the way, basically. So you kind of see the ending is setting up book 10, mostly. And maybe next week's episode probably will be basically sort of a backdoor pilot to a season 3. Now, it is not known exactly when season 3 will come out. Now, as far as I can tell, the final episode is, according to really a date I've seen, of course, as a website could not be completely accurate, maybe. But, of course, they also show in the credits like various images we have the entire season. So, basically, it feels like that this could be the final episode of the season. But I have heard, and this has been confirmed by various stuff I've read online, it's supposed to be 30 episodes. We have 1 more left. Now, it is weird that the fact that we don't have a episode title per se. We'll probably get that next week. Yes. So, now, one thing I gotta give some criticism for the season 4 is, well, so far anyways, even though the season's officially over yet. Well, the only book per se that I definitely could say that they did a pretty decent job with is book 6. They did up a little bit of that because basically they were adapting bits to start, and then later on adapting stuff out of order. I would say book 7 did a pretty decent job with that one. And book 8. They did a pretty decent job with both these 2 books. Not the case of book 9. They kind of rushed this book in just 2 episodes. No, seriously. It took 2 freaking episodes to cover this book. And this book is 341 pages. They kind of rushed this book. I was really hoping they did not do this in season 2. Like in season 1 where like they would adapt, like they had 1 episode where they have half the book. And it's the bridge telling of that stuff. And this season, the same thing too. I am not really sure why the series is this far. Now, in case you're curious though, are the light novels any good? Yes, they are. The first season is fantastic. I love the first season, though I do gotta give flack for the season for rushing book 3. They do pretty decent books 4 and 5, and they kind of start book 6, but they don't finish it. I would say that the opening episode this season just kind of finishes that mostly, and then we move on from that. Then we move on to, I would say that overall, book 7 is the only one they did a really good job with that one. Yes, where they did everything in order. It didn't seem like it took like, basically also by book 8. Book 8 did an okay job too, but book 9, wow, 2 episodes to cover this one book that is 300, 400 pages. They basically rushed this book in just 2 episodes. It's almost like the studio did not have time to basically flesh out this freaking book. That's what it seems like anyways. If there's one thing the season probably needs, like a lot of people think they claim a lot of our shows should get basically at one of these type of things, a director's cut per se. I know ReZero Season 1 got it, where they basically threw in a lot of stuff that wasn't adapted from the actual original stories. I have not watched director's cut yet for ReZero. I do know it's dubbed, it just I haven't a chance to watch yet. Do I think The Rise of Hero should get that? In the case of the first season, probably just for the stuff book 3. But what about this season per se? Does this season need a director's cut? Mostly yes. Just for the episodes that cover book 6 and definitely book 9. These 2 episodes could basically use like a lot more time to flesh out the story. Yes, I would basically do additional stuff for this one to cover stuff that this thing kind of rushed through. Kind of a make-up and apology for basically rushing book 9 of all things. Yes, book 9. They covered roughly 2 story arcs in just 1 season. Yes, the first season covered 5 books. This season overall has covered 4 books and probably going to start book 10 soon. Though they did kind of partially adapt book 10 with the end of season 1. Now, am I looking forward to next week's episode? Yes. I think visually, by pacing wise, it looks pretty good. It just its weakness is the adaptation. That's its major weakness so far this season. And a lot of it feel now this episode's pacing is fine. It didn't feel rushed per se, even though it kind of rushed the adaptation process for this episode. But it felt like though this one it felt a little quick per se, despite the fact it's a full 23-minute episode. But I think the story is pretty good, and I think the voice acting is fantastic. And I love the fact we introduced some brand new characters here. So, not much else to say about it. An okay episode. Not terrible. It's not like in the case of Boruto, where like the previous episode before this episode this past week, where it was really bad. And in the case of this one, it's okay. It's not terrible. I'm definitely going to finish the season off. Now, is there a show going to replace this one when this season wraps up? Yes. Yes, there will be. You will find out when that series airs in 2 weeks. Because next week, it's a finale for Rise of Hero. And I thoroughly enjoy reviewing this series. And you're probably thinking, why isn't the episode count for this particular review series the same episode count as the actual anime per se? Well, the reason is pure and simple. Because this is one of those shows I reviewed 2 years ago where I was doing a small handful of episodes per video, and this is like this for several anime that aired 2 years ago. This one, ReZero, we got our second season that following year, Afria, basically any type of anime I did a review for in just a couple years ago. That's mainly the reason why the episode count is lower than the actual episode is. I mean, here's an example for you for this particular show. The first episode, like I said, did 2 years ago. Excuse me. And that one, I covered the first 4 episodes. Yes. And I watched this show over the course of like a month. Not like a little over a month per se, because I'm reading the books too. Yes, like the first episode, covered the first 4 episodes. Episode 2, 5 through 8. 3, 9 to 13. 4, 14 to 21, 5, 22 to 25. Started episode 6 for this very season. That's when I basically reduced it from doing what, basically however many episodes I had previous season to just one, because it's a fresh and a new season. Oh, this is interesting though. I'm looking at basically my viewer count. Apparently, episode 32 got a very high view count. Thank you for that. Thank you for watching it. So, yeah, I'm not going to basically say enough about this. So, yeah, that's be it for Sickle You. I don't have more time to videos tonight because it's getting kind of late. And I have to go to work tomorrow. So, no Comic Corner tonight. Nope, none. So, tomorrow, maybe I might get a chance to do a video tomorrow. Depends upon what time I get home. I might get a chance to do the Rise. Not Rising. Skeleton in the World, because that does come out tomorrow. I may get a chance to watch it tomorrow. I'm not sure. If not, I will save it for Friday. Okay? Next video. Bye.